This is just for the benefit of Coldwell Banker Georgia Realty agents. There's no official, no legal advice, no professional advice over here. It's just a way of keeping Coldwell Banker Georgia Realty agents informed of the latest rules and regulations, as well as how to do more transactions. I'm gonna jump directly and share my screen, and I'm gonna go to the .1 location. I always start by going, guys, you need to go, all of the resources for Coldwell Banker Georgia Realty can be found at www.cbgeorgiarealty.com. Okay, so when you go to www, and I wrote them down on the chat room, if you go there, we've been updating. Yes, it is an old website, but it serves the purpose. I mean, it is connected to the multiple listing service. So anybody that comes over here and type up a city, you will be able to find listings. What I wanted to always reference is, if you click on agents and you go to the agents roster here, and you check on the agents, you will see that if your name is not there, okay, please let Red know, let your secretary know. And if you don't have a picture, shame on you, because the customer is gonna take a look at this. They're gonna see that you don't even market yourself. They're gonna say, well, how can they market my house if they don't even know how to market themselves? So there's, all the agents are there. If you don't have a photo, then you are not doing yourself you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay, so that is one of my pet peeves. Please make sure that your name is on the roster. Make sure that your photo is on a roster. The other thing that I want to let you know is that the navigation is on the right. There's 3 little dots on the navigation. One of the great things to do is you got to go to the agent login. There is a couple of things in the agent login. Okay, one of them is real estate license courses. You can go there to renew your license. There is a couple of schools, websites. One is Addy Schools. They're the pre-licensing school, and then CBGR, Coldwell Banker Georgia Realty, and the continuing education shop. They merge forces to make sure that you guys can take all of the classes. They're there. They're always discounts, 20%, 30%, whatever, if you know. But there is also an array of videos that are there that will help you in your real estate career, okay? So it's not just only about renewing your license, but it is about your real estate business. There's a lot of videos there. Grow your career with designations, growing the real estate market. And so you'll be able to use this information for your benefit. So whenever you got time, instead of watching Dancing with the Stars or The Bachelor, make sure that you go here and pay attention to your real estate business, okay? So that would be one of the ways. And Addy Schools is another real estate school. They do pre-licensing, and Kartik was a teacher for so many of the people that work at Coldwell Banker Georgia Realty. He's a wonderful guy, good connection to have, okay? So the next thing that you go, when you go to the Coldwell Banker Georgia Realty website, is the advertising. Our advertising gets posted there every week. So if you go to advertising your home, you will go and see the publications. You see a copy of the latest LA Times, February 13, and then you could always go back to the Chinese newspaper, and you can print a copy, you can download a copy, and when you go to agent login, training and coaching, you're certainly, there is a link for Mike Ferry Coaching Company, and there's also the March calendar is already there. So if you take a look at the March calendar, you will be able to see that these classes are already in the March calendar. It's supposed to be a link, right? So we'll see. There we go. And so there's a March calendar for classes for all the offices. So you'll be able to take a look at those in there. If you wanted to go to MLS forms and things of that nature, make sure that you go to, and my internet's a little slow, but agent login again. There is a protected area. This is kind of like the back entrance to our website, and the password is George. Very difficult to forget, and then you have to put OK a couple of times, And then here you have a whole bunch of forms for Coldwell Banker. If you want to request advertising, you click there and there is your English request for advertising. If you wanted to go for the advertising in Chinese, you certainly can do the Chinese advertising form, right? If you don't speak Chinese, just make sure you fill the information and put Jenny, please translate. And Jenny Chang email is there. She works out of the Arcadia office. And if you do not submit one of these advertising forms, your listings will not be advertised. And now if you submit your advertising form, you need to wait your turn because we go on our rotation, okay? So make sure that you do that. So you enter the protected area, you type the word George, and put okay, second time around, and you will have information there. The Coldwell Banker George Realty Addendum, there is a PDF there. You gotta use it on all the transactions, okay? You could also go the receipt form, right, for the earthquake, it's there. There are several forms. If you're going to be partnering with another agent, you're going to be sharing commission, there is a commission sharing agreement. It's on a Word document. You have to download it into your computer, then have it signed, and please turn it into your manager. So that way we have that. If you're dealing with anybody on an investment property or any property where the seller does not live on the property, make sure that you get this 1031 exchange advisory form. So there's a lot of information. Take your time and take a look at our website. There is a lot of information in there, okay? The other place where I want you to go is www. Hold on a second, just let me get out of there. www.crmls.com, right? The matrix. When you get into the MLS, make sure that you log into the matrix. It's going to ask you for a username and password. Once you put in your username and password, you land on the CRMLS. Whoop. Okay, and then here, instead of just jumping, going to the MLS, there is an array of resources for you. Okay, there is a Supra Key for those of you that have a Supra Key. If you want to update your billing, there's there. Showing time is there. RPR is a benefit of the National Association of Realtors, where you have information of all the properties, and every single Coldwell Banker George Realty agent has an account there. But you do need to create your profile. There is information here about Cloud CMA, how to make a CMA. And then here you can go to CAR. So you can, from here, you can link to so many of these benefits. The same thing goes if you go to the Arcadia Association of Realtors. When you sign up to the CRMLS, you will have the Arcadia Association of Realtors logo up here, but it has some of the same benefits, okay? So make sure that you visit here and spend at least 1 hour of your week just doing, self-training yourself, just learning something new every single week. Because the real estate business is always changing. There's always new things coming along. And just like you as a chef, if I were to run a restaurant, I'll be experimenting with new recipes. Well, the same thing, a real estate agent that owns his own company will have to be always reinventing yourself, becoming a little better than the guy next door. The other website that I want you to go is www.mycbdesk.com. Right? So when you go to mycbdesk.com, this is the universal website of a Coldwell Banker for agents, all the agents. I gotta stop talking when I try to remember all my passwords. So you land on your Coldwell Banker page, and over here, one of the most important things that I want to touch upon today is number one, CBU Learning Center. When you double click on the Learning Center tile, you land on Coldwell Banker University, and there is an array of training there. There's videos, podcasts, you name it, you would have it there. There's a complete learning library for the use of the agents, no charge for all of these classes. Some of them are virtual. This one talks about virtual buyer strategies. If you work with buyers, I would, I do not know how to beg you to take some of these classes. Lead generation at open houses, even though by law we cannot do open houses because of the coronavirus government regulations. Pretty soon, probably they're gonna, open up that opportunity, and then we'll be back at doing open houses. So I would take this class and learn how to do that. Pricing strategies. This is on how to do a good CMA. I mean, everything that you see pathway agent is something that you guys should be taking it, okay? And when you click there and you want to learn more, there's very little videos, and then you have to maybe answer a couple of questions, but this is a lot of learning that you can do on your own time. These ones, you have to sign up for them. There is some of them are virtual with trainers from New Jersey, from Coldwell Banker headquarters, and the other ones are self-paced. So if you take a self-paced class, you can take it at any time. But there are a lot of classes, a lot of videos for you to learn, okay? So there's a tremendous amount of library, handling objection, when people tell you, oh, I don't want to sell, or I don't want to pay full commission, this is an opportunity. And also, if you want to do a business planning, there is a virtual class that you can sign up and learn how to create an agent's business plan. Also, there is also, the diversity. This seems to be in fashion and in the television. So make sure that you follow all of this, and remember non-discrimination laws in the entire country, the entire state, local. So there's a lot of audio podcasts. I mean, tremendous amount of training, tremendous amount of tools that Coldwell Banker George Realty has for you. This is the CBU Coldwell Banker University. You will find that once you land on your mycbdesk.com. The other one here that I want you to pay attention to it is Prospect Square. This is where you should be putting every single name, every single email, every single telephone number. If you have a cell phone that has contacts, every contact in this phone should be put in there, and that way you can market it automatic. This is to prospect on an automatic basis. It doesn't do it for you. You still have to work and input information and put people on a drip campaign. You have to work on those campaigns. But if you work once a week on your Prospect Square, you will get business coming up to you. The other one that I want you to pay attention is Zap. If you go to Zap, this is where you will get your website free. Every single Coldwell Banker George Realty agents get a website, get a client management resources. Yes, it takes, the leads are, cheap leads. They're only tenants, but if you put your information here, you will show to your prospective customers that you know how to market yourself, and that way that they will trust you in marketing their home. The other one over here, very important, is this one called Social Ad Engine. For those of you that are kind of familiar with Facebook advertising, Google advertising, and you pay money, you can put $100 an account for so many clicks. Your money will go farther if you use Social Ad Engine through the Coldwell Banker company, because they use all of the Coldwell Banker money that they're getting, and you might be getting benefits that they don't tell you that they're working on. But all those people from Google's and Facebook's, they're always trying new things, and they're trying them on us. They're trying them on everybody that works for Relogy. So anybody from C21, anybody from Better Homes and Garden, everybody from Coldwell Banker gets the benefit of a big data company. So those are the 4 things that if you want to learn something this week, go and sign up to your Prospect Square. Make sure that you sign up to some classes at Coldwell Banker University. Make sure that you work on your website and your profile, and put a good photo there. So that way, when people click on your name, they'll have a profile of you and what you do in the real estate business, and the Social Ad Engine. Just take a look at those things, and you will be better off than a whole bunch of real estate agents that work for Coldwell Banker George Realty, okay? The next one that I want you to do is, as we always go, is our class today. And we always like to go to Zipform Plus. Okay, so when I go to zipformplus.com, this will be our gateway. This is where we are today, taking a purchase agreement, working with buyers. Of course, it does require your first name and last name. That will be your user, and the password was whatever you set up when we set up this for you. So if for any reason you are not using broker version of Coldwell Banker, for your zip form, tell your manager, tell me, pick up the phone, my phone, I put it into the chat room, and make sure that you can call me. I can verify it. You can verify your membership, and we will set you up. The benefit of using Zipform broker version, okay, the best benefit that I can sell you on, instead of you using your old Zipform from CAR, is the fact that we, Coldwell Banker George Realty, we set up templates for you of every real estate transaction. So we set up a template for, for sale. Don't worry, we are renewing. So this one is, your anniversary is coming up. So all you need to do is skip it. We already took care of that yesterday. It takes a couple of days for them to get rid of that little screen there. So when I land on my transactions, right, you can land on your transactions lined up like this, or you can line up on your transactions as in cubes, right? If you have this transaction, you can always go ahead and reopen the transaction. You can copy the transaction. You can delete the transaction. You can lock it so nobody goes in there and nobody goes anywhere, only you. And so this is what you can do with that transaction. What I like to do is always, once I land on my page, I am going to create a new transaction. So I am going to go here to the new. This is very easy. You can work on this one just by, tabs. This is for all the forms. This is for transactions. This is for all the templates. Do not hit the templates page there, because this is the form library, right? When you look at this one, you have several libraries. You have the California Association of Realtors, a finance helpline. You have foreclosure prevention library, open house forms. So we go for California Association of Realtors and take a look at all the forms. I mean, there's forms by forms by forms, forms. I mean, you can go all day long checking every single form. Trust bank account, you don't need that one. Termination of a buyer's agency, you don't need that at the present time. Seller's affidavit of non-foreign status. So all of these forms, what we did is we took our time and energy and created templates with those forms. So let me go back. Then I'll go to my transactions, right? And I'm going to create a brand new transaction over here. When I go here, I have the choice of creating a new listing, a new purchase, a new lease, a new lease listing, or just going to the digital ink, the electronic signature. As long as you have your account with Coldwell Banker broker version, you have a free version of the digital ink. You don't have to pay anything to use electronic signature. That's one of the benefits of using Coldwell Banker George Realty and being a member of the Association of Realtors. So today's day is working with buyers. So we're gonna go to a new purchase or offer. We click there and we're gonna be buying a property. It's gonna be just a make-believe property. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Main Street in Alhambra, California, and all of a sudden there's the property because I've used it so many times. I guess Google probably now have it. If you were making an offer and the property is listed in the multiple listing service, all you need to do is go to this that says MLS Connect. Of course, when you click on MLS Connect, you would have to know the MLS number. Of course, that property that I'm writing an offer doesn't have it, but if you put the MLS number here and you click, I want to include the property photo, and then you put fine, the system goes out to the MLS, grabs the property that you're gonna be writing an offer, and imports that property into your zip form. Once you have it into the zip form, you're going to be able to have the listing price. You're going to have information that it will auto-populate. You will have the listing agent's license number, the listing broker license number. So some of that information is going to come in to the system over here, okay? But the property is not on the MLS, so I'm going to skip that screen. I work with Coldwell Banker George Realty. I'm in Alhambra. If you were to be on the other offices, you will have the other office's address over here. Then this is a residential. We teach the residential, which is the basic. Anything else, you have to learn it on your own. You have to go and ask questions. You have to watch videos on how to get it done. Of course, if you ask me, I'll directly and help you and point you in the right direction. So this is a residential transaction. I don't use all this status. For me, everything that I'm working on is active. I'm always working on active. I'm not working on pending. But if you wanted to use a prospect, so you can put it here, potential client, inactive, that will be a transaction that you want to put inactive, or that it fell through escrow and you want to do that. I am the agent on the transaction. And if you don't pay attention to anything else about Zipform broker version, this is the one you have to set up your eyes. Make sure that when you create the transaction, you apply a template to that transaction. So that if you click here that says my templates, right, or my office template, I don't know exactly what it says on your screen, you would have a list of all the office Coldwell Banker George Realty commercial lease application. No, that's not the transaction I'm looking for. Commercial lease listing, no. Commercial listing, no. It's at a commercial purchase, no. It's at a mobile home listing, no. It's at a residential income listing, no. It's a residential income purchase, no. It's a residential lease application, no. It's a lease listing, no. It's a residential listing, yes. So I grab this and it's gonna have that template apply to my transaction. And the way I wanted to explain, and I explain it most of the time, is like when you go to a restaurant, first of all, you start thinking, where do I go for food? Okay, should I go to a French restaurant? Should I go to a Chinese restaurant? Should I go to a Mexican food? You know, I go to an Italian and like to eat pasta. So that would be the first thing to do, right? So you choose that. So we choose that template. The next one would be, what am I gonna get out of the menu? So if I go to the Mexican restaurant, am I gonna get tacos? Am I gonna eat burritos? Am I gonna eat, you know, tostada, whatever it's gonna be? If I'm going to a Chinese restaurant, am I eating seafood? Am I eating meats, chickens, fried rice? So you will see that the template is like the menu. It doesn't mean that just because you walk into a restaurant, you're gonna start ordering everything in the menu. Sometimes you might want to order refreshment, or you might order alcoholic beverages, or a soup, or a salad, or chicken and a dessert, or you want to skip the dessert. So this is a way that every transaction, you need to look at the transaction and see what of those forms that we set up on the menu applies to your transaction, right? I also make reference that my transaction, the purchase agreement is the tree, or the listing agreement is the tree, and the listing agreement has branches. The sales agreement has branches. So in this case, sometimes we put a new branch into the tree when we add a form to the transaction, or sometimes we cut the branch when we delete that from our transaction. So right now I land on my transaction. I am the agent. It is an active transaction. I am going to go to the people. This is a summary of my transaction, right? So if you want to fill in, the more information you filled in, the more that you can keep in your records. This one also serves as a file. We don't use it here because we have another program called SkySlope where we keep our files and our transactions. So here, the parties, who is involved in this transaction? And right here will tell you everybody. I'm in the buyer side, I'm on the seller side, and these ones are service providers. This is a copy of a whole bunch of people that pay to CAR to have their names over here, some home warranty companies. I am gonna be writing about a buyer. So this is a purchase agreement, right? So I am going to have transactions for the buyer. And as you probably know, some of you that have listened to me in the past, I like to have Betty Betty buyer is my buyer. You know, I put Betty buyer. And make sure that anybody, if you're going to have two buyers, make sure that every personal buyer has their own email. That's a way for you when you're going to send for e-signatures. Every person signing the contracts have to have an email, and it goes to the email, and that's how you can verify that they were the people signing. We can control, you know, of course, if somebody creates a fake email, but at least he has a way of tracking it down or who owns that email anyway. So we go and put emails, right? So I'll go and put all my addresses over here. So it'll be Betty at mail.com, whatever, right? And then I have a phone number for Betty, you know, 626-555-1212, business phone number. The more information I filled in here for Betty, the more information that is going to auto-populate to the transaction, okay? So you can have Betty's address, you know, and this one also is whenever you are dealing with an institution, seller, an entity, seller or a buyer, a corporation, an LLC. This is the company name, right? And then right here will be the physical, the person that is going to be signing on behalf of that entity, right? So if it is a trust, here will be the trustee, the person in charge of trustee is where you're going to put the first name of that person, okay? Because the company cannot sign by themselves. They have to appoint a person or two, you know, the president of the corporation or the secretary of the corporation, whatever will have authority to do business for that, you know, the manager of a company or the manager or the trustee of that trust. So in this case, it's Betty, the only signer, Betty buyer. We got her email, we got her phone number. We'll complete all that information, we'll save it. So now we have buyer number one, it's already there. So this is on the buyer side, there is Betty buyer, and there is myself on the transaction, right? So I'm gonna move to the documents. Remember, when I move to the documents, I am already gonna find all the potential documents, right? That Coldwell Banker George Realty already preset on your template, okay? So when you apply the residential purchase, we put a lot of information here, right? This is an extensive menu. And then you're gonna find that there is a cover sheet. Now, if you wanna use a cover sheet, it's up to you. I don't use a cover sheet because I keep my records someplace else, but if you wanted to keep who is the buyer, where does the buyer lives, where the address, the phone numbers, everything about your buyer goes here. Anything about the seller, eventually it will go here, because if we import that information from the MLS, some of that information is going to be auto-populated here, right? So now the transaction address, if you wanted to have an MLS number, you know, Main Street, I mean, you know, it's the property address, the city, the state. If you want to put a legal description, it's up to you. Assessor's parcel number, the tax number. So the more that you complete this information, and if you put an escrow company name over here, you know, any reliable, Coldwell Banker Escrow, Moy Escrow, Seller's Choice, anything that you put in there, you know, Banana Escrow, Central Escrow. So I'm going to put Banana Escrow there. If you are the seller's broker information, this is supposed to be the buyers anyway. Let me find out. I think I make a mistake. I apply a residential listing to my transaction. You see how I made a big boo-boo. I am going to go back to my list, and you get the benefit of, I made a big mistake. So my transaction, it's my new transaction. It is a purchase transaction. It is a residential transaction. I'm gonna put 4567 Main Street, right? I apologize for that. In Alhambra, it is a residential. It is an active transaction. On my templates, I should have done residential purchase. There we go. Residential purchase. So I put the wrong tree on the transaction, and then I'm gonna go save it. No wonder I was going wrong on that from the beginning. But anyway, it will create my transaction. It's applying the template, right? That's the summary of my transaction. The people in my transaction, of course, that will be the selling agent, broker, and escrow officer. Right now, I am on the buyer side, and there's only me. I'm going to add Betty Buyer here. I apologize for this, but you get a second doses of this. So the email for Betty at ABC Company, I put whatever phone number for Betty. 1325567. I save the information for Betty. This information would auto-populate to my transactions. I am going to the documents, and I will see the entire documents for the buyer. So this one is my menu for the buyer. Sorry, guys. Still a cover sheet. The Betty Buyer is my buyer. She's going to be signing. Nobody else will be signing, so no more X. This is going to be the property that she's going to make an offer. The more information you put here on the escrow company, I'm going to go to, Moy Escrow. I am going to, this is my information, Coldwell Banker, my license. I forgot to put buyer's agent's name. It's going to be Caesar. In this case, it's going to be yours, right? Make sure that you put your name in there. Make sure that you put your license over here. And then the seller's broker information will be auto-populated if we went to the MLS Connect. And then you can continue filling in this information as you please. Okay, so this one will be the transaction cover sheet. As I told you, I don't use it, but you're welcome to use it. It depends, you're an independent contractor. How do you want to run your business? It is up to you. I just want to, I don't want to spend a lot of time on cover sheets, since I already have that information in other parts of my transaction. This one is a PDF. It's a sales information sheet. You don't need it now until you make a sale, but the form is there for your use, of course, and you can give this information when you make the sale. If you complete this information with the buyer's information, the listing information, it will greatly help our transaction coordinating person as to who the other players in the transactions are. Now, if you are partnering, let's say Peter and I are going to be working with the, with Betty Buyer, then over here, I'm going to put, Peter, so much percentage of the buyer side, the selling side. I will sign it, put a date. I will put Caesar, and our percentages, we're splitting our commission 50-50. We're going to work 50-50. If I'm going to do all the work and I'm just only going to pay Peter a little bit of the money, I'm going to put here Caesar, 80% of the transaction, and then Peter 20% of the transactions, because I'm going to be doing all the work. And then I'm going to sign it. If I went to a Mike Ferry event that we are giving a promotion, you can click over here and let us know what is the money. If you are a brand new licensee with the company and you want to have a real estate school reimbursement and you went to Addie Schools, then you can click here and we'll give you your rebate. Okay, so this is an information for the transaction coordinating. The next form is the residential purchase agreement, right? And the residential purchase agreement, once I click on it, I get all of the forms, right? So originally, I get a disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship. This is by law. Another thing that I want to say, if anything you see, it says as required by civil code. Whenever you see civil code, whenever you see something of this nature, it is by law. It is not because Caesar, it is not because Peter, it is not because we invented it and we want to make your life miserable. It's not because Anna or any of the transaction coordinating people want to bug you. It's because by law, the broker file has to have this information. And by law, we need to give these disclosures to the buyers. We need to give these disclosures to the sellers. The seller needs to give disclosures to the buyer. That's just the law in the state of California that we have to follow. So here it is all the law and all the possibilities. We can be the seller's agent. We can be the buyer's agent, and we can be representing both. On both of them, they almost say the same thing, right? Very interesting that you have to do your business diligent, exercise, reasonable skill. So you have to be skilled in the business of real estate, and you have to take care and performing those duties, right? So you have to be a careful person. and not to be a wild Indian out there, right? The second one, it says a duty of honest and fair dealing and in good faith. You don't even have to say that. You always have to be honest, no matter what you do, no matter where you go in life. That's you have to do that. And then a duty to disclose all the facts that are known to the agent materially affecting the value of a property. So if you notice that the property is falling down, oh, the property is falling down. But if you also notice that the property has a brand new roof, you can say, I noticed a new roof on the property, right? So those are things that you see on the property whenever you're doing a disclosure. You're supposed to point things out, not just the bad, but also good things about a property, all right? Then the seller and the buyer, they have responsibilities. They are active members. Technically, I like this one to say the buyer and the seller, they're up in white horse and a black horse, and they're going at each other, and they have a whole bunch of, you know, swords and shields. And then you as an agent is the esquire. You're the one giving them, okay, the guns, giving them all the things that they have to be fighting on. But it's the buyer and the seller hop on their horses, and we are the helpers of those people there. We're the agents. That's basically how I would like to make it. We are in the team of the buyer, or we are in the team of the seller, but we all both to be fair dealing, right? It says here, you owe duties of, you know, utmost care, integrity, loyalty. So make sure that you follow that. If you want to learn the law, all you need to do is tonight, no watch television, read the entire Civil Code section 2079.24, and this will be the entire agency law, right? So take a look at it. It's just on page number 2. It's on the back of the form. This is the agency, and on the back is the civil code sections that refer to the agency. All righty? So that will be the first document that the client needs to sign. And when the client signs, this document also gets submitted to the listing agent when you present the offer, right? So you send it to them. The second document that you're gonna find over here is a brand new document, came up in October of 2020, right? We always have to follow fair housing law, and we do not discriminate against anything. It's always been there, but now I guess the government, they like to, you know, spend a lot of papers and you know, make sure that they're so right in writing laws, right? So this one is equal access of housing, right? And whenever you see civil, you know, Title A, you see Federal Housing Administration, you gotta know it's the government, right? California Government Code. So we saw the Civil Code, and now this is Government Code. There is another code where they put all the laws exactly how you're supposed to, non-discrimination. There's also the California Code of Regulations, another one, okay? It's so complicated to be reading all of this that you probably need to be an attorney to interpret all of this, but you're not to interpret all of this. What you are to be doing is do not discriminate. That's it. No discrimination against race, color, ancestry, national origin, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, gender expression, marital status, familial status, source of income, disability, medical conditions, citizenship, primary language, immigration status, military, veteran, age, criminal history, any arbitrary characteristics that you decide to discriminate, okay? So make sure that you do not discriminate, because by law, it's against the law to discriminate. If you discriminate, you can go to jail and you get fines up to $10,000, okay? If you do violate any of the laws. Federal law, California law, County of Los Angeles law, city laws, and all of the other anti-discriminatory laws. So you have to have the people sign this, and they need to understand that they can read it on their own. You don't have to be explaining this, okay? So you fill in all, you don't have to fill in any paperwork.
Okay.
All right. Make sure that you mute yourself. So there we go. The buyer have to sign. Betty will sign. This is document number 2 on your purchase agreement. The next one, it is the possibility that there will be somebody else. Hello, we are in a seller's market, meaning one house and there is 10 or 20 people that want to buy that house. So the buyers need to understand that there is a possibility that there is more than one buyer looking to purchase this property, right? And they need to give us permission because somebody in Arcadia, we remember we're only one agent. Coldwell Banker George Realty is considered the one broker, but we are 300 agents working for Coldwell Banker George Realty. So we have to make sure that we tell our buyers that somebody else from Puente office or somebody else from Arcadia office or somebody else from Alhambra office may also be competing against you, Mr. Buyer. So we let you know that there's more buyers and you're giving me the permission to be a dual agent, right? So here's a form. It's also completed, right? You as a real estate agent do not interpret these laws. You're just to give it to them. If they need legal advice, if they want to understand these forms, good old CAR, type up an agreement here, right? And it says, this form has been approved by the California Association of Realtors. No representation is made as to the legal validity or accuracy of any provisions in any specific transaction. A real estate broker is the person qualified to advise you on real estate transaction. If you need legal or tax advice, consult an appropriate professional. Please learn that as if you are in first grade and you're learning that 2 + 2 is 4. All right, that gotta be ingrained in your brain. We do not give immigration. We do not give advice on how to bring money from Costa Rica. We don't tell people how to cheat the IRS. That is not our job. Our job is to be real estate agents that show property, show comparables, write offers, close escrows. That's our job. Do you know about the roof? No, there is a licensed roofer. Do you know about the plumbing? No, there is a licensed plumber. Do you know about the paint? No, there is a licensed painter. Guys, don't get in the habit of advising people on a subject that you are not licensed. Yes, I understand that some of you have backgrounds in engineering, backgrounds in computers, backgrounds in all kinds of things. And I tell people I speak another language and I talk to people in my other language, but they need to understand all of these forms as they stand. All right. So over here, Coldwell Banker George Realty, my license, and over here, I will be signing this form. So that's form number, potential representation of more than one buyer or seller. All right. The next one is a wire transfer fraud advisory, right? All righty, we need to tell the people. I hate it. Why do we have to tell the people, hey, watch out, there's thieves out there? In reality, I don't want it to be my job, but I guess the government think that we in the real estate business have to tell the consumer that they could be subject to fraud if they're using the banking system. I think the banks should be the ones telling people, but they give it to us. So we need to tell the buyers and the sellers that if they're going to be wiring money, they better be careful and they better watch out and watch out and watch out and fear. All right. But if they have any questions, they can call the FBI right there. If you want to call the FBI yourself today, you can call the FBI. Don't worry about it. You call the FBI, 310-477-6565. I've never tried to see if that number is a valid number, but you can do it and let me know. And the buyer have to sign this form, and this form have to be sent with the purchase agreement because we need to get the seller to sign it, and the seller will send it back to us, and then we're going to keep it in our file. Everything that gets signed is part of the broker's file. So please, any document that you discuss with another client and they sign it, it has to come back, not just because it's a mandatory checklist bullet point in our SkySlope, but if you do something that I am not aware, you're supposed to submit it and we'll leave it in the file. It may not be a checklist item, but it will be part of the transaction. So don't just limit yourself to put it in our file, just those checklist items. Anything goes into the file. Thank you. The next form is the residential purchase agreement. Whew, we wanted to get to this form right away, right? So there's other documents that follow the purchase agreement. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and discuss those other ones, and then I'm gonna come back to this one, okay? So after you do the purchase agreement that has 10 pages, there is a buyer's advisory. And I believe that is right coming up to us, where, there we go. There is a buyer's inspection advisory, right? We are telling the buyer, hello, Mr. Buyer, please go get an inspector of the property. Make sure that you check the square footage. Make sure that you get a pest inspection, meaning a termite inspection, as we address this in our business. Make sure that there is utilities, environmental hazards, earthquake and flooding information. If you're buying a property in a fire zone, right? Make sure that they know about it. And if they do not know, they will be getting disclosures. And when they get the disclosures, they get an opportunity to say, oops, this house is in an earthquake zone and I don't want to live in an earthquake zone. Good. I don't know where you're going to live, because the entire world have still, the earth is still growing. I mean, there was an earthquake and a tsunami alert for some parts of the Pacific this morning. So I don't know. It's up to you. The world is always growing. So this is a buyer's inspection advisory that needs to be filled in by the buyer, and this gets sent to with your transaction. And also, blame it on Facebook, blame it on Google, right? Now there is the California Consumer Privacy Act advisory. We're giving advice, right? That they, as of January 1 of 2020, the California Consumer Privacy Act, civil code, right? And again, we see the law. So it's not because I invented the form to be in the file. It's because the law requires every real estate agent to give this form to their clients, and blah, 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 mumble jumble, that half of the people don't understand. Then Betty will sign it that she received a copy of it. Anything that Betty signs, Betty is entitled to a copy. So if for any reason you're signing documents via digital ink, you don't have to do nothing, because they can print their own copy. If you print the copy and you go to their home, or you meet them at the Starbucks and they sign, make sure that immediately as it becomes available to you, you go and run a photocopy, you scan it and email it to them, or you take a photocopy and drop it off at their house and make sure that you give it to them, right? I don't want to go to court and somebody say, I never got a copy of that document, right? And you say, well, you sign it, therefore I gave you a copy. 3, 4, 5 years from now, you will forget. And the attorney is going to ask you, did you give a copy to Betty? And I'm going to say, yes. Immediately after Betty signed it, I went to my office, make a photocopy, and run back to the Starbucks, and I gave her a copy. And of course, Betty's going to say, he never gave me a copy. All right. So that will be part of it. So we have all of these forms are attached. All of these forms that are attached are a must to be sent with your offer. So listing agents out there, make sure that when you receive an offer, everything comes signed by the buyer to you. And if it doesn't, make sure that it is part of your counter offer, that all of these forms are going to be signed by the buyer. All righty. So it's been about an hour and I have not even discussed the purchase agreement. Wow. But anyway, I am going to go fast. We will have opportunities to ask about it. One of the homeworks that I'm asking people is that you go into Zipform broker version and you type anything. Just make believe that you're writing up an offer. Today is the day and the offer is from Betty Buyer and we're going to be buying a fictitious property. I don't know, make any property and do it as a practice, and because practice makes perfect. We are nervous. We're talking to buyers and we're nervous because we don't even know how to make the form. They can sense that. Have you ever told you that when you see a dog, they tell you, don't be afraid of the dog, because if you're afraid, the dog will come and bite you? Well, the same thing. The people can notice that you don't even know how to use your forms. Therefore, they are losing trust in you. And when they don't get the house, they don't want to work with you and they go work with somebody else, Remember, there's 500,000 real estate professionals in the state of California. So it's very easy for a buyer or a seller to go find another agent. So you have to be better than the rest. Make it a purpose in your real estate career to learn these forms. If you're gonna be in this business, this contract has been for many, many, many years. The last time that they reviewed this contract was in the 1218. So 1219, 1220, it's been 2 years since they make any modifications, right? So in 2 years, you need to learn it, okay? So there we go. We're buying a house in Alhambra, in the city, in the county of Los Angeles. So, you know, Los Angeles. And then the zip code, 91801. And the assessor's parcel number. I'm just making believe, but I know that it's always 4 numbers. Usually there's 3 numbers here and there's 3 numbers here, right? It's 4 numbers, 3 numbers, 3 numbers, right? And the purchase price of this property, just for the heck of it, I love to make $30,000 this weekend. So I'm gonna buy a house for $1 million, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That should be $1 million. I like to make $30,000 on the commission. Close of escrow. I am telling you, don't click this box because then you get a calendar. And we don't know how long it's going to take for the offer. And you say, well, I want to do a 30-day. I want to close in April 5. But you don't know if this offer is a weekend counter offer. So the way I like to do it is I like to check this box. And I like to put here, not 60 days, not 30 days, but maybe I can put 35 days, you know, and then the seller can give me a counter offer. This day does not depend on Caesar. It depends on the lender. How long is your lender going to take to give Betty that loan approval? Okay, so if Betty has an easy application, Betty works for one job, has one checking account, one savings account, one credit card, and one W-2, very easy to pre-qualify. But if Betty has a job on the side, she works for 3 companies, then she sells Avon products and she's a self-employed and she has a K1 from a partnership. And then she has stocks and bonds and 3 checking accounts and 5 credit cards. It's gonna be harder for the lender to get all the pieces together. So it might even take 60 days for Betty to get a loan. So check with your lender on how fast can they do the loan. In this case, I'm gonna go for 35 days. It is already disclosed, the agency. Wow, here the property is listed by ABC Realty, and ABC Realty has a license, you know, 1, 2, 3, whatever number. I got this from the MLS, or I got it from the Department of Real Estate. And then the agent here, you know, is Angie agent. And Angie agent has a 025678, whatever number, you know, Angie has make sure that she is representing the seller. So I'm gonna click there, and Coldwell Banker Church Realty, I am representing Betty, so I am representing that person. If for any reason the listing happens to be a Coldwell Banker George Realty, right? If the listing is Coldwell Banker George Realty and the agent is Angie, I will have to here make sure that he has our license 01121 01121 690, right? That's our broker license. Write it down in a location so you don't forget it. And then Angie has her license. And then here, don't put that the listing agent is representing the seller and Caesar is representing the buyer, even though Angie works for the seller and Caesar works for the buyer. We need to check both boxes. We represent both because in this case, the agent is the Coldwell Banker George Realty, right? So make sure that we do that, okay? Make sure that we put both, right? We continue. There are potential competing buyers and sellers. We already have a form that says potential to represent more than one buyers, possibility, the check is there, so we already have the form. The deposit, this deposit amount, we always ask it to be 3% of the purchase price because 3% is the maximum that a seller can go after the buyer on a liquidated damage clause, right? But you can put $1, and that is legal. You can put $1, it's legal. Or you can put, you know, $100,000. There's no rule, there's no law that says that you cannot put it. Let me tell you, in today's competitive business, I would put more money there to blow the seller's mind, to let them know, hey, I'm serious about buying your house. I'm gonna put the entire 20%, right? I'm gonna put $200,000. Mr. Seller, I want you to sell the house to me. I'm gonna put $200,000 to purchase your house. I'm gonna open escrow with my entire money. Is it okay? Yeah, it's negotiable. Now, in the event that I default, the seller is not entitled to my entire deposit. The seller can only go for $30,000 and reimburse my 170. Okay? That's the law. The maximum, if I sign a liquidated damage clause, the seller can, the maximum will be 3%. 3% of 1 million bucks, $30,000. Okay? But I wanted my offer to look good. I'm gonna put 200. But all righty, you chicken, you're only gonna put 3%. All righty, okay, I take it. Now that money is not gonna be given to me. That money is gonna be turned into the escrow within 3 business days. Within 3 business days, open up escrow. I can even give it by personal check, and the buyer will run to the escrow company and take the check to escrow. It could be also a cashier's check, and it could also be other, right? It could be bars of gold. I don't know. I don't think that there is no escrow company that will take gold, right? In some cases, it could be stock, right? Something of value. I don't think that any escrow company will take stock, but you know, in a normal contract, things can happen. So I will put $30,000 by personal check within 3 business days after the acceptance, right there, after the acceptance. If you don't accept it, no harm, no foul, nobody puts no money anywhere, right? We do not check box number 2. We don't want to take no. It is policy of Coldwell Banker Church Realty not to take a deposit. So please do not take a deposit. Get on the habit of making sure that the buyer take their own money to the escrow. All right. Now, increase deposit. We don't use this either. B, we do not put here $1 and then we put here $29,999. This is used only in the event that the buyer has no money in a bank. And they're gonna say, oh, Cesar, in order for me to have that kind of money, I have to go and sell my stocks. I gotta go and sell my bicycle. I gotta do a yard sale, my garage sale. And then in 5 days, I'm gonna put the balance of the deposit. Don't do that. Your offer is gonna look very weak. If this was an all cash offer, you click this box and say, I'm gonna pay cash. But if you notice when I put all cash, no financing boxes, right? No financing boxes. If I don't put cash, then now I have financing choices. And now I'm going to go and I am going to apply for a first loan of $800,000, right? And this loan will be a conventional loan or FHA. I don't think you get an FHA on 1 million bucks house. VA, if you are a veteran, or if the seller is gonna carry financing. If you click any of these boxes, there will be more forms attached. So here's your tree, and now there's gonna be a new branch, okay? There's gonna be a second loan? No, no second loan, so 0. So if you look at the math, I am taking 30,000 as a deposit. I am going to be borrowing 100,000 from a bank. Then I'm gonna put 170 additional to the 30. This constitute my 20%, right? And then I'm buying the property for 1 million bucks. So that is page number 1. Woo, a lot of things on page number 1. The majority of things that go into page number 1 that is important is making sure that you confirm the agency. If for any reason you leave these boxes blank, okay, you as a punishment are gonna have to go and prepare another form. And I don't want you to do that, okay? So please do it from the beginning, right? We are representing both. Okay. If you leave the boxes blank, trouble. I'm gonna force you to go and get another form, because if you don't do this, then we have to get another form. If you forget one of these licenses and you leave it blank, same, you did not confirm correctly, all righty? So make sure that you confirm correctly. And the other thing is, make sure that the math goes fine, the purchase price, the loan amount, and we move to page number 2. On page number 2, we need to say, I verify the down payment, meaning that you are sending a copy of the bank statement showing the same buyer has the same bank statement. Don't show me your brother's bank account. I need to see the buyer's bank account, right? If you don't put the X, then within 3 days after the acceptance, I'm gonna give you verification that I got the money. In this case, I'm sending it with my offer. If you click the box, you have to send it with the offer. On the appraisal contingency, this agreement is contingent upon a written appraisal of the purchase price. In the event that you're removing the appraisal contingency, you click the box and says, this agreement is not contingent upon the appraisal, meaning if the house appraised for $900,000, I would have to put more down payment because the bank may not give me all the money, all right? Now, if you're buying a house and you're representing a first-time buyers, do not remove the appraisal contingency if you do not know that the buyer is knowledgeable about the real estate business, okay? Because then you're pushing them to buy something out of their comfort zone, okay? Make sure that they check the box and say this agreement is subject to a appraisal. If the appraisal comes low, you could always renegotiate with the seller. If the appraisal comes high, it will never be, because most of the lenders are only appraising to the sales price. Very seldom an appraiser will appraise a property higher than the selling price. And they do know what the property sold for when they go out and do the appraisal, because the bank tells them, I need to see if this house is worth this much money because I'm lending 80% of the value, all right? Loan contingency. The loan contingency removal already has a 21-day. Yes, in today's market, they want you to make it 10 days, right? You change it and you put within 10 days, I'm gonna remove contingencies. Make sure dates are very important in a real estate contract, okay? So make sure that time is of the essence in this contract. Times are very critical. 17 days, you will say within 3 days. There are certain things that you have to do as a buyer, and there are certain things that you have to do as a seller. And if you don't do it, you are out of the contract. And if you're out of the contract, you could have consequences. Buyer can lose the deposit, seller can be sued for the house, all kinds of things, okay? Don't go there. Don't worry about it. A lot of people say real estate, you're gonna be very sued. Not really. In about 1,000 cases, you get 1 or 2 or 3 cases. So once you sell 1,000 houses, worry 3 times, okay? If you follow the rules, if you ask questions to your manager, you will stay out of trouble, okay? If you read and pay attention, you will stay out of trouble, okay? In the event that you're buying and the buyer is a little bit an investor and he said, don't worry about the loan contingency, I'll get hard money, you can click no loan contingency. Do not do this if the buyer is a first-time buyer. You know, they got to be a little bit of sophistication. They have to be a little bit of experience and understand what do that means. A lot of people don't understand that. Oh, I didn't get the loan. It's the bank's fault. It's the bank's fault. It's the buyer's fault because the buyer picked that bank. Okay, so don't lose that. Buyer stated financing. Make sure that if you're gonna put that, I'm gonna put 200,000 down. I'm gonna do 20% down. You're acting with the truth. If you decide to change from a program and you're going to put, oh, I'm going to put 30% down just to make sure that your offer looks good, and later on you're going to change it, you are lying to the seller. Do not do that. That is fraud if you are not speaking with the truth. If you need to sell your condo before you buy the big house, then this agreement is, you know, the agreement is the buyer's ability to obtain financing are contingent upon the sale of the property owned by the buyer. And you click this box and you have to attach another form and you follow the rules on this other form. as to the removal of contingencies, okay? So that will be another training class, the contingency of purchase. There is also contingency of sale. Like, I want to sell my house as long as I can buy another house. So those things are very important. Learn them, because if you know how to do that, you can make more money if you are familiar with those type of thinking. Now, all of these addenda, advisories are branches to your tree. If it applies, put it on. If it doesn't apply, then you will not do it, okay? So is this a backup offer? No. Does the property has a well where you get a little bucket to get your water for your shower? No. This is a short sale? No. Does it need court confirmation, right? Some transactions need to go to court? No. So you don't put it in there. Is there an addendum at the present time? No. So the buyer's inspection advisory, yes, we did check the box at the beginning on the template. That's why the form is attached to the contract. Is this a trust, a probate? No. So if it is a probate, you need to click here, and there will be another branch attached to your purchase agreement, right? Other terms, you can type up here other terms. If I would be the one buying, I would say buyer is a California licensed broker, right? Whatever I can put in there. Or if my sister is the one buying, so you say buyer, is related to, selling agent, right? Make sure that that is disclosed at the beginning. It is law. Don't ask me why. I think it's stupid, but I think a lot of laws are stupid. Okay, that's just my my thoughts. This is just to check to make sure that you're still awake. I've been talking for about an hour, and some of you might get bored and say, "Oh my goodness, so much information." Now here we are gonna say who pays for what. This is so important. Who pays? Who pays for that in the transaction? Remember, in real estate, everything is negotiable. So we need to tell on the transaction who's paying for what. In some parts of Northern California, the seller by custom pays for certain things. In Southern California, the buyer pays for certain things. So we are gonna use Southern California customary, right? Over here in Southern California, the seller pays for the natural hazard disclosure. We always wanna make sure that they include the tax and make sure that they include the environmental. When you're writing the offer, make sure that you're asking for the whole thing. I want the salad with the salad dressing with, salt and pepper. I want to make sure that my salad has everything, right? And the seller might say, oh, we don't have pepper, so they take it away from you. Okay. And I wanted to be First American Natural Hazard Disclosure. You have the choice. You can use her NHD, you can use NAP, you can use any company that you wish. I only, recommend First American because they have geologists. They've been in business for 100 years. They're a huge company. They have deep pockets. And if they get sued, they have good attorneys, all right? The next one is the seller will pay for the following report. What report? Okay, we want the seller to pay for a pest control, for a termite. Now, I know that there are some people, in the old days, we used to ask for the seller to pay for the report and give us a clearance. You certainly can ask for it here, but that is part of the request for repairs. So actually, you want the seller to pay for the termite report, and here the buyer will pay for the following report, a home inspection, right? So this one is a home inspection report. Once the buyer gets to review the inspection reports, the seller pays for the termite report or the buyer pays for the home inspection report. Now I got a report. The report says the toilet is leaking and the report says that there is one termite alive running around the house. So I say, Mr. Seller, I love to buy your house for $1 million with the condition that you kill the termite and give me a report that you already killed that termite that was running around your house, and I want you to fix the toilet. And you put it on a request for repair. And then the seller is going to answer back to me, forget it. I don't care about the one termite. It is my pet. I don't want to kill that termite because it's been with me for the last 100 years living in this house. I don't kill anything in the world. No living thing will be killed by me. Okay. And then the toilet, that's your problem. Okay, I'll continue buying the house. Or no, you don't want to kill the termite. You don't want to fix the toilet. Goodbye. I'm out of the transaction. You can negotiate at that time those items, all right? Then we go to page number 3. Over here, we continue. Who's paying for what? I want the seller to pay for everything. I want the seller to pay for any compliance with any mandatory retrofitting. If I'm in the city, any inspection reports. If I'm in Azusa, if I'm in San Marino, Pasadena, some of the crazy cities out there, the city wants to collect money every time a house sells. So they invented this inspection, okay? So I want the seller to pay. The second one, I want the seller to pay for any minimum mandatory government retrofitting, okay? The city believes that if you put a low shower head or a low toilet, you're gonna use less water. Well, they're wrong. They're using a small toilet, but the people flush 2 and 3 times. In the old days, big toilet, one time, boom, the whole water went up. Just kidding. I hope you stay awake. All righty. Now here, who pays for the escrow? Very interested. In Southern California, buyer and seller, they pay for their own half, their own expenses, right? So we do that. And I already got this one. More escrow came in from my thing, but you can pick anything. I went banana escrow, right? You can do that. Now the parties will be signing within 5 days all the escrow papers. Guess what? Your job is to call the escrow in 5 days and say, hey, escrow, did the other party sign all their documents? Are they in? And if they're not in, you better call the other agent and say, hey, Mr. Listing Agent, what's up with you? Are you doing your job? Remember, honesty, reasonable skills, utmost care, integrity, loyalty. Are you doing your job? See, if you know those words, then you'll be able to tell the other agent, I know real estate. Don't play with me. I know what I'm doing. Get your act together. Well, I'll be dreaming when all the real estate agents do that. Now here, seller shall pay for the title insurance for the owners. In Northern California is the other way around. If you want your insurance, you pay for it. But here, we want the seller to pay for our portion of the insurance. Now, if you are financing the property, then the buyer is only fair that the buyer pays for the buyer's lender policy, right? It comes combined, okay? And who's gonna do it? So we want First American to do it. First American is the oldest company. You can choose anyone you want, okay? You know, WFG or any reliable, you can use, you know, Stewart. There's a couple of companies out there. I like to use First American because they're from 1888. They're in business. And if my client has a claim, the people from First American will step up to the plate. Okay, I want to make sure that good lawyers are defending my client. More expenses. Oh my goodness, who's gonna pay for these? Who pays for the county transfer tax? Okay, the seller pays for the transfer tax. Who pays for the city transfer tax? In the city of Alhambra, no city tax. So I would not dare writing this up. But if I know that there is city traffic, if I am writing an offer in a city up in Northern California, or I do not know, in San Diego or you know, Irvine, I have no idea what those cities, I would say seller shall pay for transfer tax, if any, right? So if there is any, then the seller pay. If there isn't, nobody pays nothing because there isn't any fee, right? So I would do that if I am in a city that I do not know. All right. The next one, I want the seller to pay for a HOH if this is a condominium. In this case, this is a single family home that I'm buying. But if I'm buying a condominium, I want the seller to pay. Number 4, already, you cannot change it. The seller has to pay because it's required by law. Good law. So the seller says, I cannot pay for that homeowners association. Civil code, the law says that you have to, Mr. Seller. Now here, preparing the documents, some homeowners association charge for making photocopies. So I want the seller to pay for that, right? Buyer to pay for any HOA certification fee. Why? Because when you're financing, the lender requires, so because it's a lender require, it is a lender require, then you, as a buyer, will pay for the lender request. You cannot pass it along to the sellers, right? If you are in some parts of Northern California where there is private transfer fees, I want the seller to pay. Now, if you want the seller to pay for something crazy, I want the seller to pay for, carpet cleaning. Right? You want the seller to pay for carpet cleaning. All righty. Some people put professional carpet cleaning. I want the seller to pay for a, coronavirus total disinfectation of this house. I want that you can write it in there, right? You want the seller to pay for something. Now here, we want the seller to pay and include a home warranty, right? I want $650. Or the other day I said, I better use $750 because I'm always asking for more things. I want $750 and I want a standard? No way. I want first class. I want upgraded policy. And not only do I want the house to be covered for air conditioning, I want the pool and the spa to be covered. I also want to have the roof, right? Roof and appliances, right? So I want those things that, appliances and roof, whatever. I want that included on my home warranty. Of course, if the seller's not going to pay the $750, they can give me a counter offer. Make sure that you check the boxes. If you leave it like that, it does not matter if I put here $1,000. They are going to give me the standard, okay? I'm sorry. If I just put that and I don't check the upgraded, I put $1,000, they're going to give me the standard. They're going to charge the $395 and that's it. It says not to exceed. All righty. So if the cost is only $100, it's $100. If the cost is $1,200, at $1,000, they'll stop. Okay. So I want everything. I want the whole enchilada. I want everything in the menu. I like to eat well and drink well. So here I think about $700 will do. I think roof is about $100, right? Now, if in the event the buyer is an investor and they said, oh, Cesar, don't worry about the home warranty, then you better check the box here. Buyer is waiving the purchase of a home warranty, okay? All righty. Now, items that are included in the sale. When you took your real estate exam, remember the chandelier, the mother-in-law keeps it, whatever happens to be the case. Then you said all existing fixtures, fittings that are attached to the property are going with the property. All my pots and pans are mine. All my furniture is mine. All my pots in my backyard, my patio, my hammock, my Chinese Buddha that I have in my garden, that is part of my personal property. Okay, unless you have attached it to a yard, to your koi pond, all the pumps that will be included in there. I will also make sure that I write it down. So all the refrigerators, all the stoves, all the washer and dryers, I wanted to be included on the purchase price. Or I don't want that greasy stove. I don't need I'm going to buy my own appliances anyway, right? Or in other cases, my agent is going to buy me new appliances. But don't do that. Don't do that. All righty. Don't get in the habit of using your money to give anything to the buyers. You're giving them excellent service. Okay, you don't see the guy at the gas station giving you more gas. Okay, when you buy gasoline, right? So in this case, I want the stove. Mr. Seller, give me all the appliances. I'll throw them away if I'm going to change them. Watch out for the solar system. Watch out for the alarm system. Watch out for the all of those items. Sometimes they're not included with the house. Today, some people may have a ring. Some people may have a Nest. Some people may have some of those smart controls in the house. Make sure that you write them. If they tell you that they're included, make sure that you put it in there, right? So make sure that you write them somewhere on the offer, right? If you have flat screen TVs, that doesn't go. That is a private stuff. The TV is private, but the bracket stays in the house because they make holes in the wall. Or if you want them to fix the walls, they will fix the wall, remove all your brackets. I don't watch TV. I don't need no brackets in every bedroom. Get them out. They will just fix the wall, but they will not paint it. Okay, that's what it says over here. Unless you say, hey, you better paint it, okay? If the buyer intends to use the property, this is very important. When do I get the keys? You get the keys when you close escrow, right at 6 p.m. When you close of escrow, you get the keys of the house. Unless you fill this information and you say, hey, I will get the house no later than 3 calendar days. So within the 3 calendar days, I get the key. Oh, Saturday, no problem. I'll stop by and pick up the key from you. As long as I see that you're moving when you U-Haul, then I can move my things in there. This used to be the normal, the kind way that we used to do real estate. Today, nobody's kind. People wanted you move out the day before close of escrow, and people start fighting and all that other stuff. Be aware of this item. Make sure that you are not caught having to pay for hotel rooms because the buyer isn't already moving in and the seller hasn't moved out. And how can I guarantee? You cannot guarantee that there's not going to be any issue about this. So the contract says you're out 6 p.m. on the day of close of escrow. The day of close of escrow is when they tell you, escrow calls and say, the escrow is confirmed. We have recorded. All right. So that's what happened on the escrow. It may happen one day ahead or one day behind. If the seller is going to stay on the property, make sure that there is proper documentation. Click another branch to the contract. If there is a tenant occupied property, then the tenant is going to stay on the property. Then there is another document. Other than that, over here, if the property is occupied by the buyer, by the seller or vacant, it will be available to you by 6 p.m. Okay, make sure that you handle this correctly. All of this paragraph 9, pay attention, learn, ask questions on how to do it. Otherwise, I don't want you to have trouble. Now here, item number 10 is everything that the seller has to do. The seller has to, within so many days, by law, required by law, give to the buyer the TDS, give to the buyer the AVID, give to the buyer the SPQ, give to the buyer all of those forms that our transaction coordinator is asking you to give me this, give me this, give me this by law. So you have to follow the contract. Please do not wait until the last week to get all the paperwork. The paperwork should be in the file within the first 2 to 3 weeks, 21 days. Every document should be in this file, and we're only waiting for loan approval and loan signing documents and the termite and moving in. But all the disclosures should be already signed by the seller, signed by the buyers, and into our file. That's the proper way to handle business. Do not be a lazy real estate agent, please, please, please. All righty? So we have to give the transaction a natural environmental hazard disclosure and a book. We also, if you are a foreign person, they're going to be withholding taxes. If there is sex offenders in the neighborhood, there is a Megan's Law and there is a website. I do not ask you to go there. It's in the contract. That's all we have to do. Tell the buyer that if they're concerned about that, they can go to this website, okay? Gas, liquid transmission pipelines. There are pipelines underneath some streets that are carrying gas, natural gas that we all use for our stoves. So if the buyer is afraid of that there's going to be an explosion one day, maybe there will be, they need to go to the www.npms.gov and take a look at that. Where are the gas lines? Okay. If this is a condominium, then we need to be able to tell the Mr. Seller, within 7 days, you have to give me all of the paperwork from the condominium so I can read them, all the rules. I have a lion. I want to be able to move my lion into the condo. Only a little Chihuahua can handle this condo. It's in the CC&Rs. No more than 30-pound cat, snake, whatever. It's in there. Okay, so the next page, we're on page 4 of 10. The next pages are legally mumble jumble of the transaction, right? The condition of the property. This property, all the purchase agreements that you're doing, you're buying the property in its as-is present condition. So the listing agent that gives you a counter offer that says, property sold as is, already said it in my purchase agreement, right? I'm buying it as is. The buyer has the right to have inspections, and the buyer has the right to ask for repairs. But the seller doesn't have to answer, and the seller doesn't have to repair. That's the law. Learn those items and learn to fight them whenever you are in, depending on what side of the transaction you're in, okay? Also, the buyer has the right to inspect the property all of this. You can inspect and you can call the police, you can call the city hall, you can call Batman, you can call, Superman, you can call all of the superheroes and check about this house. As long as the buyer pays, you can hire an engineer, you can hire a nuclear tester, whatever you want, as long as you pay for the inspection. And then based on those inspections and report, then you continue your transaction, or you ask the seller to make corrections to it, okay? And then if you're gonna have people into the house, they better have insurance, because the buyer has indemnified the seller, right? If your inspector falls from the roof, the inspector cannot sue the seller. They will, one time, an inspector touched the electrical wire, boom. The buyer is responsible. That's why you use inspection companies that have E&O insurance. Title investing, we are not lawyers, right? So you tell the people, check with your lawyer. Oh, I want to put my son in title in case I die. Ask your lawyer. Sometimes that's not the smartest thing to do. You don't know, your son can go to Las Vegas, get married, and then the property belongs to the daughter-in-law. Watch out for those things too. Or vice versa, to the son-in-law. All right, equal housing opportunity. I Caesar, watch your mouth. Okay, anyway, here, time periods. Time are of the essence. Removal of contingencies. They put it in black, big letters. You're supposed to give a form called contingency removal, right? Seller has 7 days in this contract to give you all the reports that are in paragraph 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, B, F, 11, 13. The seller has to give to you within 7 days. Ask for the papers. And the buyer has 17 days, right, to read them and return them, or decide, I don't like this house. On the 17th day, too late. On the 16th day, yes, at 11:59 p.m., you can change your mind and say, I don't like to buy this house because there is a dog, woo, 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 wailing half a block away, and I will not be able to sleep. So that would be one of the reasons you can cancel. You can call the police and say there was a car theft on Valley Boulevard a week ago. I don't want to buy a house that is, somebody steals a car or out of the parking lot at a shopping mall, whatever. Those are the reasons. The buyer has to have access to the property to conduct the inspections, right? And then I do not ask you to remove contingencies. You can remove contingencies from the get-go and say, I like to buy this house without any contingency. This is for an investor, somebody that knows how to buy a house. If it's a first-time buyer, an immigrant, somebody that is coming from another country that is not familiar with the laws of the state of California, please, please, please do not remove contingencies from the get-go, okay? Now, the seller has the right to cancel. If the buyer has not completed the contingencies, the seller has the right to cancel if the buyer doesn't do what they're supposed to do, right? So you give notices, notice to the buyer to perform or notice to the seller to perform. If you don't do what you were supposed to do by this day, goodbye, give me my money back, I go buy another property. Of course, we are in a seller's market. Right now, the sellers can say, goodbye, get out of my face, I have 20 more buyers, okay? It is a seller's market, but it doesn't matter. We are agents. When it's a seller's market, we are on this side of the, business. If it's a buyer's market, we are in the middle. We're always in the right side of the transaction. Okay, you are agents. We put them together. In the event of cancellation, what happened with the deposit, right? So homework, you got to read this contract several times so you understand this contract. It is very difficult for me or for anybody to explain it to you line by line, page by page. I am not an attorney. I'm just telling you that we as real estate agents use this form because it's prepared by the California Association of Realtors, lawyers, and a committee of real estate agents that have seen it all. That's basically what it is. And when there is a problem, they come up with another paragraph and they say, oh, we got to put it in the contract. And usually they're saying that by 2022 or at the end of this year, they're revising the contract and they're changing, taking one paragraph out, adding one more. It happens. But if you learn the concept of the contract, those changes do not make any problem to us. Okay, one more form. Okay, one less form together. Okay, it is just mumble jumble, final verification of condition. This is a walkthrough. It is not a condition of the sale, not a contingency of the sale, right? It is just to confirm that the house is still there and in the same condition, or if somebody was going to make repairs, the repairs are done correctly. Any prorations of taxes, we prorate everything, insurance, all of that is going to be prorated. The escrow company uses this paragraph to make sure that they handle it correctly. Brokers, this is our duty. Read these. Scope of your duty. This is all you need to do. For 6%, yes, we like it. We are not responsible. Look at it. We're not responsible to check the boundary lines. Don't say this is your property right here. You can't say that. If you're using a representative capacity, the president of the corporation, make sure that you sign another form. That's the one we talk about it. If this is a trust, make sure that there is, certificate of the trust. That if there is a probate, make sure that you have letters. This is a joint escrow instruction. This is not just an offer. Don't just say, well, this is an offer. No, this is a contract that if the seller signs it, you, Mr. Buyer, are obligated to perform your duties, your stuff. Oh, tell them I offered $300,000. It's not that. Don't take it so lightly. Make sure that when you're writing an offer, is an offer on a property that the buyer wants to buy. Don't work for free. Don't be just writing offers for the heck of it. Write an offer and push the buyer into buying. If they buy and close escrow, you get money. If they put an offer and they don't want to buy, you will not collect your commission. And it is so hard when an escrow falls through because we work for so many months. We work for 1 month, 2 months, trying to make $10,000 or $20,000. And at the end, we don't make nothing. And we work so hard. So do not work for free. Also, don't get in the habit of taking people out, driving, picking them up at the airport, taking them to Disneyland because they're just coming from another country, and then they use you, and then you buy them lunch when you show them property, and you buy them coffee before, and then you buy them dim sum on Saturday and Sunday, and then they end up not buying with you. So just strict to the business. Yes, I understand that culturally we want to create relationships. Yes, but remember, you create a business relationship. You don't go to lunch with your doctor. He doesn't go to lunch with you. I don't know. Don't go to lunch with your banker either, with the teller. I don't know. So why should you be the one buying lunches? And, if any, they should be the ones buying you lunch because you are such a good agent. In the event that this transaction gets breached by the buyer, there it is, big black letters. You initial here, the seller initial here, and it is that any the liquidated damage clause that says that the deposit will be given to the seller. That doesn't happen automatically. We can discuss that. We can ask questions. Escrow, when they open up escrow, then there are escrow rules as to how the escrow is going to handle that money. In theory, the money may belong to the buyer and the buyer gets it. But in technicality, the seller can put a claim to that deposit, and then we have a buyer claim, seller claim to the money. Escrow just said, you better go fight and give me something in writing that you agree. Then I give the money to whoever you agree. If you agree to give it to a charity, I'll give it to a charity. If you do not agree for 3 years, then I give the money to the government and you go and talk to your governor. Okay. Dispute resolutions. In the event that you have a dispute on this agreement, first step, mediation. Who pays for mediation? The person that wants to mediate. The other party don't want to mediate, then the person that wants to mediate pays for the mediator. Or after the mediation, if nothing gets solved, then you go and arbitrate, right? Binding arbitration. Who pays for the arbitration? To start, the person that wants to arbitrate. If I lose, then I gotta pay half of the arbitration fees to the persons right there. And it's black letters because by law, you have to give it to them and 20 points, whatever, big letters so they understand it. They initial here and the seller initial here and the buyer initial here, they are bound to arbitrate. In the event that this is a probate or any other thing, Probate and mediation doesn't apply to the transaction, okay? So that is who selects the services, escrow, title, whatever. We do not guarantee the performance. So buyers and sellers, they pick their own. Of course, we can tell them, oh, I used this escrow many times, and you can give them references, but that's it. Make sure that you talk about 2 or 3 and you give them 1. Multiple listing service. We will be publishing that transaction in the multiple listing service that it got sold, and the price is public. Attorney's fees. Of course, attorneys prepare these forms, so they are entitled to the fee in the event that the winning party gets reasonable attorney's fee. I don't know what is reasonable. For attorneys, a lot of money is reasonable. Assignment. These contracts are not to be assigned. Buyers shall not assign. Sometimes we have to, but we shall not assign this contract. You also see this buyer, ABC, and or assignees. Don't do that. Get the names of the people that are going to be the buyers, or make sure that the assignees take title as well right away at the beginning of the transaction. Terms and conditions of the offer. This is an offer. Everything in writing. Whatever we talk, the wind took it away. So it is in writing. Also, it says here, time is of the essence, right? Entire contract. Any changes should be in writing. In writing. Look at it, writing, signed by the buyer and the seller. If they're not in writing, it doesn't, oh, but he said he was going to fix it, and he didn't. Also, too bad, so sad. It has to be in writing. Request for repair has to be agreed. Any credit has to be in writing, okay? And then he goes by giving you definitions. What is acceptance? What is agreement? What is CAR form? What is a copy? Okay, do you need a definition for days? What is a day? I don't know. It starts at midnight and it ends at midnight the following day. Uh-oh. Read it, okay? It says, does not include Saturday or Sunday if it is a close of escrow. Legal holiday, but for the purchase agreement, every day is a day. Make sure that you understand that. Calendar days, if you make an offer today, today is day 0. Tomorrow, day 1. All right, so remember that. Today, day 0. So you have 3 days to sign the paper. So today is 0. Saturday, day 1. Sunday, day 2. Monday, day 3. So you have to sign it no later than Monday at 11:59 p.m. That's the deal. If you get an acceptance today, escrow money on Monday, right? This offer will expire within 3 days. This will be revoked deposit, right? If you do not get it by 5 p.m. on the 3rd day, it's already pre-printed. So if I give an offer today and I don't hear from anybody in 3 days, this offer is not valid anymore. So make sure that you allocate the time when the seller's agent is going to be reviewing these forms, right? So you can put a date over here. You can use a calendar. My offer is good until such a time on such and such thing. This is good until Tuesday, right? I can say it's good until March 9. If I don't hear from you, I'm going to sell another house to another person, right? And now the buyer signs here. In the event that the buyer is a entity, they're going to click over here. They're going to have a form, right? That is going to be signed by the representative agreement, right? By representative capacity signature. It's going to be in another document, and then they sign over here. Now, page number 10 has some boxes. This is for the seller to accept. The seller will sign here. If the seller signs, you get a contract. If the seller signs, but they check the box here, they are going to give you a counter offer, and they're going to have a date of the counter offer, but they also have to give it to you. Unfortunately, a lot of agents are very lazy. Listing agents do not get a sign, and they send you a counter offer. Make sure that you try to get this form signed with an X right here from the listing agent, so your counter offer will be continuing. Make sure that he links them together. This is a counter offer to the offer that was dated at the beginning of the transaction, all right? So this on page number 10, make sure that it is completed. Now, in the event that they say, oh, your offer got rejected, make sure that the initials are here. Rejected offer, the seller initial that I read this offer. Now, if you want to know when the agent presented the offer, the listing agent will put initials here and it will tell you when they presented the offer. I presented 10 offers. Now, these boxes, one of them is, do you want to get paid? If you want to get paid, make sure that you sign it as the buyer's agent, and the listing agent have to sign it so that way you get paid as per the MLS, okay? So if you don't get the signatures, you ain't getting paid. You're not collecting your money. And then escrow, when you take the money to escrow, make sure that they put how much money you put into escrow, and the escrow officer lets you know that they're licensed by the Department of Finance Protection, or they are by the Department of Insurance, or by the Department of Real Estate. So in case you need to know, the Finance Protection and Innovation is a state department, and they are independent escrow. Department of Insurance is for title company escrows, and the Department of Real Estate is for broker-owned escrows. 3 different type of escrows where your buyer's money is gonna go. My advice, go to independent all the time, okay? That is the last page of the purchase agreement. It is 11:46. I got 15 minutes for questions and answers. Please, if you have a question, you can open up your mic and then let me know. Let me open up here and see how many people fall asleep. I thank you for, I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. I see that everybody fall asleep, but if you have a question, I'd be delighted to answer it. Oh, I see. Melissa says, can the buyer submit a cash offer and later, while in escrow, change to an offer with conventional loan? Yes, but you need to negotiate that with you cannot be lying and saying, I am giving you a cash offer. And then you go and say, well, I need you to set up an appointment for the appraisal. And then I need also the loan, the appraisal didn't come through, and now I'm gonna cancel. So those are the things. Don't be making a what would I say, misrepresentation of your offer. If you're gonna buy a cash offer, make sure that you go through with a cash offer. I know that there are people putting cash offers and then they go to a loan shark and go get hard money loans. Be careful. In the event that that hard money loan doesn't fund on time, you are in violation of the contract and you can lose your deposit. So I want to tell you, be cautious, because you might find a listing agent that think that, I got a possibility just to collect my deposit and go sell the property to somebody else, because now you're using loans. So it is possible, but don't do that. Don't do it as a lie. You can say, hey, we were gonna be buying cash, but we found out that we don't have all the money to put in here. My accountant recommended that we finance the property. Probably when you do the financing, it's gonna be no contingency for the financing, and the seller is gonna get very upset. They're gonna feel like you cheated them, okay? Thank you. That was a good question, Melissa. Anybody else has a question? All you need to do is unmute yourself and ask the question. I know that I went very hard. Yes, Val.
Well, I just was, I know this presenting also with the via internet, or there are a lot of people don't have internet. Some older people, same as with the listing. When you talk to them about it, you have this and this. Hey, they just, I don't have that. I understand that.
I understand that some people don't have computers. I understand some people don't have internet, but I'm going to tell you, a lot of people, you know, senior citizens are the largest group of people using email to communicate, and they're on Facebook watching their grandkids and photos. So they're, number one, lying to you. But if they don't have it, you have to print it and send it to them. You know,
okay.
There's no other way. I mean, the US mail still works. Federal Express still works. You can send it FedEx, prepay the envelope and have it back. Or you can say, I'm going to drop it at your door. You take it in, you sign it, leave it at your door. I'll drive by when I come back from the supermarket and pick up the They offer
But
books.
is there still some of those forms printed by Carl or somebody?
Oh, no, there are no more.
more.
You have to prepare here. You have to prepare and print in your printer. And then you have the hard copy. You cannot have them blank. Most of the property will not be blank.
They don't have any more those forms pre-printed. I mean, they used to be.
There used to be no more. You have to create your own forms. They have to have an address, because if you try to print a form without an address, it won't let you. Okay.
But you cannot buy any more those pre-printed. I mean, those that they used to be.
You cannot buy pre-printed one.
That's it. Okay. That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, for the fair housing rules under the criminal history, that is also applied to a lease. Yes. You happen to live in a, very liberal state that you cannot say you went to jail, I cannot rent the property to you. So if you're out of jail, you already pay your fines. You are a free citizen. Cannot discriminate, unfortunately. That's not me making the rules. That's the people in Sacramento making the rules. Beautiful. I love it. Any other question? Okay, remember, I hope every single one of you have access to the broker version of Zipform. For some of you that always used to use the old version, it's still out there. You do have access through CAR. Once you become a member of CAR, they're gonna give you your username and password for CAR. And once you go to car.org, they're gonna have transactions, and you can go to transactions. But if you filled in the transaction there, it cannot be on the other side. The same way, if you fill your transaction in the broker version, it will not go to your CAR version. It is run by the same engine, but it is two different cars, okay? Any other questions?
I just say one more.
Yes, sir.
I just say one more. It's a different thing. I tried to sell house down in, not sell, but sell to somebody down Rancho Santa Margarita or Sacramento. I went a couple of times. And the man over there is Redfin. They're buying the houses. They like do their modeling, all that stuff, and then they put it back on the market. They put them on the market.
Yes.
And then they're putting the commission 2% or some stuff. I cannot believe what they do.
I know the real estate market is pretty hot, and some areas are very hot. That even any house that is not a fixer-upper, any house that you buy today, and then you put new paint, new carpet, and you just remodel it and paint it. Just like when people used to buy a car and you put new tires and you put a new battery and you try to sell it and make $100, there are people purchasing houses doing the same thing and selling them. And in the meantime, the house went up in value $50,000. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in the real estate market since 1980. I got a license way back in 81. And I believe that in the 1970s, it was crazy. At the end of the 1980s, 88, 89, the market was very crazy.
That's
in the 90s,
interest rates too.
Yeah, in the 90s, it was also crazy. In the 2005, we had a big crazy prices, and then we had a crash in 2008. But I want to let you know, I'm going to show you something. I had it in my screen. I'm going to share this screen because I have it in there. I'll show you, where did I have it? I'm going to show you this. I'm going to, oh, okay. This is an updated, okay? This is for you guys. If you want to go to CAR, this is an updated housing market update, okay? And I'm going to show you a chart. Sales remain elevated. So this is the information that I use when somebody asks me about how is the market. Look at it. January of 2021. These are real facts, right? 22% year-to-year increase. So if you went to buy a house in January of 2020, today you made 22% higher than that. So you almost made $80,000. A house back then was the medium house price 400. Today 480, right? Look at the prices of homes, year to year increase, right? Here the price is 699, 21% up, right? Unsold inventory, we only 1.5 months. So if everybody went to sell, we are minus 55% of houses available in the market. So the law of supply and demand is acting crazy with us. Less houses, more buyers. Buyers are gonna pay more. Just like, toilet paper, right? During the pandemic, toilet paper, I don't know, 20 bucks for a roll. People were willing to pay any money for the toilet paper. Same thing for the houses, right? Look at it, days on the market, 11 days on the market. And this is because I put it up for sale today. There's offers today, multiple counter offer, back and forth, 11 day already sold. Minus 60% on the days on the market. So it is crazy. Look at the prices. So when people tell you, look at the prices, price growth, January of 2009, we were in the dump, right? Even 2005, 6, 7, look at it. This is the market crash. It came down. Look at from that point, from 2012, the market goes up and down, up, boom, a little down, up, down. Look at it. This is kind of like January, February. If you notice that, right? No, this is September. So every month, look at it. May of 2014, look at it. 2015, 2017, 2018, 2019, look at 2020, look at 2021. So when somebody tells me, oh, I am going to wait until the market come down, I think you're dumb. The market, if it comes down, is this. This is when they tell you the market comes down, it's like when we move from here to here. And then all of a sudden, it goes up, right? So I don't know and I don't understand. This, if you go back to 1981, when I got into the business, the properties were about $100,000. My first house in 84, I paid $69,000. That same house today is worth $600,000, right? So it went up and down, up and up and up. And this was up and up and up and up, and there was a big crash. So who knows when are we going to have a big crash? And remember, if we crash, is it ever going to go to zero? Real estate doesn't go to zero. There's real. So I just do not know how to explain this to most people. Over time, your real estate is going to be worth a lot more money. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and tell you that it's almost 12 o'clock. But if you wanted to know information, the truth information, go to www.car.org. Everybody here pays for your membership dues. Just go to economics and you will find all of this information. Unfortunately, that file is very big and I cannot mail it to people, but anybody that is a member can grab it. So it's called a revision. They just revised that and I just got it in the mail. So it's an email. It's a revision of the market projection for 2021. You're welcome, Yolanda.
Sorry, since I was late. I went to get my first shot.
Oh, congratulations.
I got it today.
Congratulations. Hope you're feeling healthy. Hope the real estate market.
I'm getting now much. I'm almost there, almost back where I used to be.
Beautiful. Anything else? Any other questions? Thank you for coming to the training. I'd love to see you next week. We will be talking about listing next week. And if you have any questions that you want me to address at the beginning of the training, I'll be delighted to do that. Remember, this is the first week of the month. We talk about buyers. The second week of the month, we talk about sellers. The third week, we're going to be talking about disclosures. The fourth week, we talk about practices in the real estate business. And the fifth week, I'm going to be talking about all of the Cbu Banker tools. All righty. And thank you for your time. What other forms are required regarding COVID? Okay, I do not like to put any offer with a COVID. If you're thinking about buying a house today, you certainly have to follow the PEAD form. That's just to show the property, right? So it's to show the property. You need to have permission from the seller, permission from the tenant that you're going to be walking into that property, and you're telling the buyer you are responsible for your own health and blah 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 blah, and over and over and over and over. If you're thinking about buying in today's COVID, there was a form that came in at the beginning of COVID that says, in the event that I cannot do my business because of COVID, I want to out. I just think it's a bunch of baloney, and that's just my personal. That's why I do not, if you want to protect the buyer, you put that form, but any seller is not going to sign it. You can say, if you're afraid of COVID, don't even buy a house. Don't even get out of your house, stay in your house. That's basically what's happening in the world. If you're afraid of COVID, don't do business anymore. I mean, stay home. But those people, they're going to the supermarket the same way. You go to Costco and it's full of people. You know, you go to outdoor restaurant, it's full of people. People are, you know, protesting. People are voting. People are doing all kinds of crazy things. So real estate is open. Real estate is going up. I don't know what else. It's another COVID form. Okay?
Merit is coming. Everybody going to be done by June, July. Everything's gone.
Hopefully we'll be there, and you know, people will have to vaccinate, and if they find that the vaccine is not enough, next year you'll be vaccinating just like the flu vaccine. And COVID is here to stay. It will stay in the rest of the world for a long time, and don't know what to tell you on that one. So protect yourself, wash your hands, follow the CDC rules or whatever you want to do. We all do it at the office. We all have our mask. We all wash our hands. We all use sanitizers. We keep the distance. We follow the rules. Make sure that if you're a listing agent, you have to post, you know, your signs that entering to this house, you know, you have all of those disclosures out there. So wonderful. Thank you for coming to the class. If you have any private question, you feel free. At the top of the chat is my phone number, my email. You're welcome to reach me by phone, by email, by Facebook, by Twitter, by Telegram, by anything. WeChat, I cannot. For some reason, my WeChat, I don't follow up too much, okay? So don't reach me by WeChat, even though I have a WeChat account. I get too much Chinese in it, and I don't understand it. So have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully stay safe, and go make a deal. Practice, okay? Oh, you're welcome. All righty, have a wonderful day. And I'll have it at the end of the business day, the class will be recorded. Have a nice weekend, everybody.